Your acrylic board paint can be used in so many ways. Today I'm going to be making acrylic skin flowers for a project I'm working on. Let me show you how. Hi everyone, today we are going to be making acrylic skin sunflowers. To begin this project you will need some freezer paper. That's the paper with the shiny side on one side. I just taped it down so that it doesn't roll up. It's a great way to store your skins, and you can just pick these pieces of paper up and move them very easily. Silicone mats can be used, but they're a little harder to use unless you keep them on a tray. You will need some paint. This is a yellow. It's my light yellow. It's primary yellow and white mixed in a 3-to-1 ratio of paint to Floetrol and water, so just regular pour paint. You will also need primary yellow, and you will need brown for this particular flower, which will be a side view, and for the next one you also need black. So very simple colors, not a lot of paint that you need. The bottles do work best for this. These are condiment bottles that the paint is mixed in, but you can use syringes. They're a little harder to control, but if you have those around, they will work. You can dip those in paint, and you can use syringes to make the flowers. So I'm going to begin with my primary yellow, and I am going to be drawing the petals for the side view. In this case, I'm going to be making 7 petals, just diagonal lines that are drawn onto my freezer paper. And we start very simply, and we will build the petals. You don't want too much paint at one time on the paper because it does tend to run. It is pour paint. It's versatile, but you have to know how to use it. Now I'm going to build on top of that paint with my lighter color of yellow. This is going to give me some contrast and just some interest to my petals. We'll just put some over the top. And go over each petal. Okay, and now I'm going to get my primary yellow out again, and I'm going to go over the top again, just building this paint slowly. You don't have to wait in between like for a long time for it to set or anything. You don't really want to do that. You may actually get bubbling if you do that, but just go right over the top in a controlled manner so that you actually have the separation in the petals by not adding too much paint. Now I'm just taking a skewer here, and I am going to be shaping my flower petals. Your skewer is your friend when you are doing projects like this, or anytime you're making skins. You'll always see me use the skewers for blending my paint. Add any paint that you need extra if your petals aren't the way you want them. Now all I'm going to do is take my brown, this is very simple, and draw an oval and fill it in. And that's all you're going to do really for this one. You can see that is your cone flower, or in this case a side view for a sunflower due to the coloring. It could also be a black-eyed Susan. You might want to make the middle part a little bit smaller if you're doing a cone flower like Echinacea or a black-eyed Susan. I'm taking my skewer, and I'm just going to add a little bit of interest by flicking the brown right down onto the petal and showing a little bit of differentiation. And I might fiddle with this just a little bit to make sure it's exactly how I want it by shaping it with my skewer. And it's just that simple. And that is the first flower with the sunflower to the side view. For the second flower, we're going to take our lighter yellow, and we're going to start building the petals. One straight up and then diagonal to each side. And you're making a sun, kind of like what you would do in primary school. Just make your petals even, and we're going to do a similar technique as the first one, and we're going to build our paint just to make it easier to work with. So after the light yellow, we're going to build on top with our primary yellow. Again, this is going to give us interest, and we'll be able to layer and look like we have multiple petals here. Sunflowers generally have multiple petals, and so we will just want to make sure that we give the illusion of multiple petals. I'm just going to draw around the outside now. It really does look like a sun. We're going to be filling in the middle with brown, and this time we're going to be adding seeds. So I'm just going to use my skewer and make sure we have a good shape for these initial petals. We are going to be adding petals. If this doesn't look like much to you right now, it will look a little bit better later on. So I'm just going to shape up my petals, elongate them a little bit. And it's going to depend on what kind of sunflower you're making. This is really a mini sunflower. We have these growing in Texas right now. and they grow wild here. So this is kind of the mini version of it. You can make large ones, you can make even smaller ones, but we're going to start with this one. Once the petals are the way you want them on the sunflower, you're going to fill in the middle with brown, and I'm just adding this in the middle. The paint has come in a little bit, and so I'm probably going to have to expand it out. But just getting the brown in, if a little bit of yellow is mixed in, that's okay, because we're going to come back in a little bit more brown here first, and then we're going to come back in and do our seeds for our sunflower. Right now it looks a little wonky, so to add the seeds, we're going to need some black. So make sure your black is thick enough or you won't get individual dots. So I am dotting on the black here. And so you can see that there are seeds. Just kind of gives that illusion of seeds. And we're not done with our flower yet either. But I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'm going to give some petal definition by taking my skewer and just flicking out to each of the petals. And now I'm going to take my primary yellow and I'm going to create more petals. Since a sunflower tends to have more petals, we're going to add some in between the existing petals. First with our primary yellow, and then, and some of these were not very exact there, a little messy there, but that's okay. You get the gist. And then we're going to put on the lighter yellow for our detail again, just going back over them and adding in where I need more petals. Okay, so now that that's done, we are going to take the skewer and just going to elongate and shape some of those petals. Okay, to add a little bit of highlight and detail around where the seeds are, I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow and do some little dots for differentiation of the seeds. Just adds a little bit of something to it. And I'm going to clean up my brown and where my petals are. And one thing about this is if you make a mistake, I will show you how I tend to clean that up, because this is not as clean as I would want it to be. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a cotton swab, and that way I can take off any piece of paint that is there that I don't like with the cotton swab. And it's just that simple to do that. So if you make a mistake, it's perfectly okay. You can clean it right up with a cotton swab. And that's it. That's pretty much all you have to do to make your face-on sunflower. If you're feeling cheeky, you can make leaves for your sunflowers. This is a miniature sunflower leaf from right outside. I just plucked one off so I could have one as a reference. They are very small because this is a miniature. Just remember that the larger your sunflower head, the larger your leaves are going to be. This one is small and heart-shaped. I'm just going to outline it with some dark green paint and fill that in. You could just leave it very simply like this with the basic shape, or you can add veining to it, and I will add some veining to it, but we're just going to fill it in with our dark green. Very easy. You can model this with different colors of green and be creative as you want to make your leaves, but these are pretty simple to do. And then in my case, I'm going to take a darker green for the veining and just put some down. A little bit too much of a plop there. It doesn't want to come out. So we're going to take a skewer and going to spread that out in the shape of veins and then get rid of that big dark blob there, which is unfortunate. But you can add the veins to the leaf by looking at a leaf and using it as reference. And just going to work on that and clean it up, and that's all you have to do to make your leaf. And I'll get rid of that blob, so don't worry about that. And I'm going to show you what we've made. To make a stem will just be a straight green piece in this case, so I think I won't show how to do that. That's pretty intuitive, and let me show you what we have. Okay, here they are. Now they will need at least 24 hours to dry, usually 48, and this one's already been peeled off, I went ahead and started this one, but to peel these off, and I'll peel this one off for you, be very careful. The petals can be very delicate, but these should be thick enough. That's why we layer the paint, to make them thick enough to get them off. We're just going to peel them very gently off of the freezer paper, and they will come off. You may have to warm them up a little bit, but this one came off just fine. And put that one down. And then we will pull the leaf off too. Here you see a stem, which is just the squiggle of paint, which you can put your flower on as so. And then we're going to take the leaf off. Now this leaf does look large, but sunflower leaves do tend to be large, and you would have multiple small flowers on a miniature sunflower like this. And there's another leaf that I made. So here's another stem. This could, like I said, work as a black-eyed Susan or a sunflower or a coneflower. And we're just going to put the leaf down. And here's a little leaf for this one. If you wanted it to be another type of flower, you could do a smaller leaf. And that's all there is to it. And there you are. You'll have to come back and see what I do with these flowers in another video. And please hit like and subscribe and the notification bell to figure out when the next videos are going to be out. So thanks for watching.